Hey everybody, it's Marcia Whyte with GratitudeSpeak. Good to see you guys this evening. Thanks for coming on, whether you're live or on the replay. Share this out or comment and let me know that it's resonating with you. For those of you who are not familiar with me, I do life and business coaching and professional speaking. But this evening, just very quickly, I'm leaving a conference for the evening and I'll be back tomorrow. I wanted to talk about some reflections I had in a recent rainstorm I had to drive through. Now, this past weekend, I was out of town, and on the way home, I had torrential rains for probably the better part of about an hour or maybe even 90 minutes. But what was interesting about that is, even though there was obviously very dark clouds and whatnot, that I was caught in the downpour on a major interstate, actually two major interstates because I had to exit from one onto the other, I could still see in the distance where the rain had let up. And I don't know if you've ever had that type of experience where you're under heavy rain, you're in like a dark place, but you know that there is light because you can see it. It could be as close as the next street or a couple of streets over, or it could be further down the pike. But you know that the rain is going to cease because you're either headed in that direction in your car, on foot, on the bus, whatever. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and, well, I was not texting, but we were talking on the phone. And they said, well, you might want to consider pulling over if it's really that bad, because, it's a late Monday evening, there's trucks on the road, and I'm in a small car. And I said, no, I really think I'll be okay. I'm not going to take any foolish chances. And I think because I can see up ahead that the rain has ended, I can drive through this. Now, let me just tell you a little bit about me. I am not by any stretch a daredevil, but neither am I afraid to be on the road in bad circumstances. I don't intentionally put myself in a bad position. I'm not a thrill seeker, but I can take some risks, but never to the point where I intentionally jeopardize my or any passenger's safety. However, having said that, I've been driving since I was 12 years old. That was a long time ago. Road rules were a lot less, they were a lot more lax, and there were a lot less cars on the street. And I was taught by two of the most heavily driven professions. My father, who was a Chicago City cop, and his best friend, who I called my uncle, who was a cab driver. So there was a time in my life that I could drive as fast in reverse as I could forward. Haven't done it in years. But the point is, I came up under, adverse weather conditions because Chicago has a lot of heavy rain. It has lots of snow and ice. And so I'm not afraid to take, the car out on the road. So, having said that, I don't like being in bad weather and driving, but if it has to be done, it has to be done. And I was on a woman on a mission wanting to be home that evening. But again, the whole thing was, I had music playing because music always speaks to me. It always soothes me. It's one of the ways that keeps me calm, focused, sane sometimes, and on task. And it was especially important because I had to watch the road. I had a passenger with me, all right? And I also value my own life and safety and those around me on the interstates. So, again, I looked and I was like, I can do this. I can see the end goal. I know the path that I'm taking. I have a plan. There's a road map in my mind. I didn't need the GPS in the sense that I've driven this road for more than 20 years, this particular route, interstate route. So I wasn't, really afraid. I wasn't entirely comfortable, but I wasn't really nervous because I knew where I was going, how I planned to get there, what, the end result would be, which would be my home. But I thought, in business, that's pretty much how we should be, because we're going to have numerous times where, something unforeseen comes up, a storm, a deal that didn't go through, a change in the terms of a deal, a client backs out of an agreement or doesn't pay you, or collaboration falls through, or, you get there to an event and the whole scenario has changed. There's lots of unexpected rainstorms. You could even suffer a personal tragedy, which, oh, by the way, is something that I excel in helping people work through in my life coaching practice. The point is, what I'm very, very good at for myself, as well as for those that I show up to serve, is looking for the light. The light at the end of the tunnel, the lighter clouds that indicate that the rainstorm will not always be, because sometimes you cannot depend on the weather forecast. It may be so bad that your radio is out, or you may not be able to listen and focus on both, the broadcast and watch the road with your attention where it needs to be. But you can always look. I mean, if you're driving, it's kind of a given. You have to look. You have to be observant. You have to be aware. You have to be watchful. You have to be mindful. You have to be intentional about looking for the end result. And so when I could look off into the distance, into the horizon, and see that there was light, I could focus on that. Now, that's not to say that I was trying to outdrive a rainstorm when, in the true sense, because as we know, clouds can move. And they do move. And rain sometimes seems to follow some of us everywhere. I'm reminded of that Charlie Brown character, Pigpen, where the little cloud is always hovering over him. But it's also as much a mindset that Pigpen has as we have. Life is what you make it. It's tough. It's, excuse my language, shitty sometimes. It is unpleasant. It is scary. It is all of those things and more. But on the flip side of that, and oh, by the way, do you not realize there is always a flip side to everything? There is joy, there is light, there is love, there is harmony, there is peace, there is relief, there is victory, there is celebration. All of these are reflections that I have had from traveling in this rainstorm. And I think that, I know for sure that when you focus on one particular thing, good or bad, that is more often than not, in fact, the result that you get. And so I continue to drive. And I've been in rainstorms before where I've actually had to pull over because it was just beyond me, and I waited it out. But this was something that I thought I could handle. I do pray, and so I prayed, but I also knew where I was going. And the lesson in that is, whatever it is that you're facing in your life, in your home, in your community, in your school, in your business, whatever the circumstance, if it looks like it's dark and cloudy on the horizon, look for, actively seek out, make a real intention to find and focus on even the slimmest glimmer of light. I don't care if it's the size of a pinhead. It will pierce the darkness, and that will get you to where you want to be. I promise you. And how do I know that? Because it works for me. And I have my negative Nelly moments just like anyone else. I'm not always, happy and cheerful and encouraging and inspiring. Sometimes I just want to hide under the covers, and as my mom used to say, close the shade, or pull down the shades and close the doors. But that's not what I'm called to do. And that's not what you're called to do, especially if you're in business. But we've all been put here for a reason. And so if you get nothing else out of this Reflections from a Rainstorm, it is this. There is always a cloud of light, a glimmer of hope that you can look for. You have to look hard sometimes. You have to be intentional about seeking it out. But you get what you look for. So if you just want to concentrate on the clouds and be like a turkey, turkeys can drown because they're not bright enough to stop looking at the rain, and they will literally, gobble, 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 gobble. and drown themselves, don't be a turkey, okay? Be intentional. Be a powerhouse. Be the best, most powerful, servant-minded, heart-centered person, business person that you can be. Because that's what you've been put here for. And I've been put here to show up to serve you. And to that end, I'd love to have a conversation with you. So click on the book me link in the title of the video. Get on my calendar, which is in Eastern time in the United States. Let's have a conversation at no cost to you to see how I might support you in your life and or your business. And for small business owners and entrepreneurs, on Monday nights at 9 Eastern, you can click on the bit.ly link for Business, the Good, Bad, and Otherwise, which is my radio show where I bring on phenomenal guests every week that pour into you for the good of your business and for the good of those that you are called to serve. So I want to thank you guys. I wish you a wonderful Thursday evening. I wish you a phenomenal Friday. You get ready to slay. And remember, wherever you are in the world, in your mood, in your mind, in your mission, look for the light. That's Reflections on a Rainstorm. Thanks so much for sharing this out, for whatever comments you're going to leave, and just for being a part of the tribe that shows up to support me when I come on. Have a great evening. Remember, even now, and it's about 7:30 where I am, there's still plenty of time in the day to give someone a random act of kindness and show some gratitude. See you later. Bye.